it on, and we've decided, just like the things that we're going to talk about, we really have no control over. And it's just the way that it goes sometimes. So we're thankful for technology, but sometimes it just gets bogged down a little bit. So we're live for us. We're all going to chat here for just a minute, and then we're going to get to play it for you guys. So glad that you guys are on with us, getting to hear a little bit of our story. I have two very special friends with me today. I have, and you may or may not know, Shannon Townsley and Darcy. I'm going to say be a child and kind of really write your name. Tell me how to say it.
You nailed it, Mary. You did
it. Okay, good. Thank you. And I've known both of these girls for a little while of a time. But girls, ladies, why don't y'all tell me just a little bit about yourselves, your family, and about how long you've been at the Met. Shannon, why don't you go first?
I'm Shannon, and I'm married to my high school sweetheart, Rick. We've been married this summer, be 15 years. I know, crazy. And we have three kiddos. We've got twins that are 9. They just turned 9 a couple weeks ago. And then we've got a 3-year-old, our little bonus blessing, Will, that showed us that our family is complete. So yeah, and I've been at the Met forever, since the beginning, yes.
And in case they don't know, tell them who your dad is.
Yeah, so my dad is Pastor Bill.
So they may not know, so that's a fun fact. All right, Darcy. Yeah. Darcy, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Darcy, and I'm married to Mike, and we've been married since 2014, so it'll be 6 years this summer in July. And I have a stepdaughter who lives in Arizona, and she's 11 years old. Her name is Adeline. And then Mike and I have twins together, Jackson and Gemma, and they are 4 years old. And we moved to Texas from Arizona in the fall of 2014. And then we were looking for a church a little thereafter. So I think it was probably 2015, early 2015 that we started going to the Met.
Awesome. Yes, that is really, it's good. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, on how your lives intersected and you had some things in common and were able just to encourage each other. And I'm just excited. I was telling you guys before we got on, just to relax and really just talk about just the journey that you've been on. I love to hear people's stories and how God has worked within their lives. And it's always just super encouraging. And for those of us who get to be on the sidelines and listen, it just encourages us and challenges us to just live outside our comfort zone a little bit and to live a life that is just driven by God and not by ourselves. So it's super funny. I was listening to Bill this weekend as he was talking about God has placed you exactly where you were supposed to be. He was talking about Moses, and I thought about you guys because I knew we were going to be talking later on in the week, and that's really what happened with you guys. God kind of intersected your lives just to make a difference through the circumstances. I was trying to remember, and we didn't rehearse this because I didn't want it to be rehearsed, of how it all started. My memory is, Darcy, I was up at the church and somebody from the hospital called. And I don't know if it was a social worker or the chaplain, and it just told me that you had twins in the NICU, and that you were, I think you had told them that you had gone to the Met, and they just asked if I would call you. And so I did. And I think you shocked me and answered the phone because I thought you wouldn't. And I remember just praying with you and just talking, going, hey, I know somebody who went through this exact thing several years ago. I mean, down to having a boy and a girl, and somebody may have to stay at the hospital and all of that. And I said, if you don't mind, can I have Shannon reach out to you? Reach out to Shannon. She was like, absolutely. So you guys, Darcy, why don't you start, since you were kind of the instigator of that, and tell us how it actually all played out for you.
Okay, so my twins were born premature. So my husband and I had tried about for a year on our own to have kids, and we were unsuccessful on our own. So then we did a couple of IUIs. For people who don't know what that is, it's called a artificial insemination, and we tried that twice, and that was unsuccessful as well. So then our OBGYN recommended that we try IVF. So we did that, and we got pregnant with our twins, and they were born a little bit early. It's considered a high-risk pregnancy, so it's common for twins to be born early. So they were born at 32 weeks and 4 days. Usually full term for twins, I believe, is 38 weeks. So that was just a really difficult time. I mean, just not, ever having kids before, and then you think you're going to have your babies and then bring them home. But that was not, in God's plan. God's plan was for them to come early and for them to spend a little bit of time in the NICU, and for me to heal a little bit from a vaginal birth as well as a C-section birth. So it was just, I was having a rough time. And I remember talking to you, Mary, and you said that you knew someone who had gone through that, very similar circumstances. And it's a hard thing to go through and not really have anyone to talk to and be able to relate to what you're experiencing, in your mind, and what the healing your body is going through. And it was just really nice to know that there was someone I could talk to that had been through similar circumstances and would know exactly what I was thinking and feeling, and really be able to empathize with that.
Shannon, I remember reaching out to you, and I knew you would be gracious, but sometimes you're thinking, oh, I'm not really ready to help somebody with the pain that I've gone through. And the whole infertility part is a whole big, strong hold in all you guys' life, because I know you were trying, and there's a lot of emotional roller coaster that went with that as well. And then to have, a baby not get to come home. Talk a little bit about what that was like and how you got to really just talk to Darcy. She was going to make it through, that you did. What was that like for you, and to get to share your story?
Yeah, so for us, it was about a 3-year process, if you will, from the time that we were like, okay, let's start our family. And then, me and my we're just going to do this. It's just going to happen, And about a year later, nothing. And so we moved over to a specialist and started some other treatment options and got a diagnosis and had a couple of surgeries and, all of the things. We got pregnant with Sam and Emma, and such an awesome, moment to hear those heartbeats. Of course, it was just an amazing answer to prayer. And it had been such a journey to get to that point. And then similar to what happened with Darcy, I was also 32 weeks and went into labor. And obviously the babies were really small. They weren't even quite 4 pounds each. And so it was kind of an overwhelming time, and I remember thinking, man, God, all this time and we got here, and now what? Are they going to be okay? It was really scary. It was a really scary moment. And so we went into the NICU and started navigating all of that. And our babies were there. Emma was there for 21 days, and Sammy had to stay for 30 days. And that was, of course, another really trying time when one got to come home and one was still there. That was a really emotional time. So, but they're super healthy and are doing wonderful. But yeah, I remember, Mary, you approaching me at church and just saying, hey, there's this girl and she is in the hospital and just had twins, and they're in the NICU. And so you gave me her email address. And so I was able to email her and just kind of say, here's what happened with us. And hopefully was able to just maybe a glimmer of hope of, because I remember it's such a whirlwind. Obviously I wasn't prepared to have the babies that day. I mean, I thought I was going to be pregnant for several more weeks, and it was overwhelming, to find out. I remember my doctor just saying, we're having twins today. And I remember looking at him and said, no, we're not. And just started crying because I was like, this can't happen today. They're too little. This is not okay. Just kind of that panic set in. So it's overwhelming. And the what ifs start to creep in and the fear starts to creep in. And so anyway, my heart went out to Darcy the moment that I heard, that she was in that same situation. Because I remember, and I know, I knew how she probably was feeling at that point.
So Darcy, what on the other side of it, I'm sure you were going through all the emotions that Shannon just talked about as well. What was it like having somebody who literally had been through what you had been through. It wasn't your mom or a good friend saying everything's going to be okay. What was the difference for you, somebody who literally had walked where you had walked?
I mean, she was just such a light and such an encouragement to me during that time, because she had been there. She had been through it. She knew exactly what I was thinking, exactly what I was feeling. She talked about like the fears, and I had so much anxiety during that time. It's like you almost have post-traumatic stress disorder, because they're born, you know, you tried so hard to like get them here to earth, and then they're finally here, but they're here early, and are they going to be okay? And you know, how am I going to hold them both? And oh, I want to breastfeed, but you know, is that going to work? How do you breastfeed two babies at the same time, and this and that? Just the fact that she knew what I was going through. I had, you know, of course, tried to talk to my mom about it, and tried to talk to my husband, and they were so sweet and so loving and so kind that they couldn't empathize in the way that someone who had walked that road just a few years earlier could. And so that was really, it was really nice to talk to her and just know that so much of that was unspoken, because I'm sure I made no sense during that time, being sleep deprived and just being full of anxiety. And I had some postpartum depression too. So just going through the postpartum depression and anxiety, and just knowing that she could relate to that, and knew what that felt like, and that she would tell me it was going to get better. I was going to get past that, that those feelings I were feeling weren't going to last forever, that God was going to pull me out of that. And to just know that, yes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and the way that I'm feeling, it's not going to last forever. It's going to get better. They're going to grow up. They're going to be okay. So it was really comforting.
The other really amazing thing that happened with all this is a few years down the road, I don't even know how many years, how old were the twins, Darcy, when you guys started Rooted?
They were probably 2.5, I want to say.
So it was a couple of years later, obviously, you guys had at the same, really had just decided to do Rooted. Now, we were putting the groups together, and of course, when we do that, we look at life stages, circumvent, like, oh no, they have to be in the same group. And you guys went to Rooted, and then you went on to do a life group together. How long has your life group been together now?
So we've been together ever since. So when you go through Rooted, you have kind of the choice at the end for your group that you so beautifully put together, Mary, because honestly, I mean, I just love our group so much. We are all in the same stage of life and all have kids of the same ages, and we just have so much in common and are walking through these things together. So we've been together ever since. So at the end of, you go through Rooted, and that's a couple, months long. We took it during the summer. And then at the end, you have the choice, if all the members are interested, to continue on as a life group. And we were all like, heck yeah, like, of course we want to do that. I mean, we bonded so much through this experience. We know each other's, like, deepest, darkest, like, moments in our lives, and also the brightest too. And we just wanted to be a part of each other's futures, and, just walk through life together with each other. So yeah, we've been together ever since we went through Rooted, and then we turned into a life group. And then we also are now in the LEAD program together. So
it's really interesting how people in life circumstances, it kind of glues you together, whether it's a birth or a death or a miscarriage or a diagnosis, cancer, grief, all of the different things that happen, that if we will allow God to use that within us, once we get past it, most people are happy for their life to get to help somebody else. Thank goodness, right? I don't want to go through it for nothing. But while y'all were in the midst of it, what could y'all maybe say to somebody out there who maybe is still in infertility? There's a lot of girls I talk to who are still really trying, or maybe have gone through something else that they just didn't really know if God was there from them. Was there something for you in that maybe galvanized your faith in a way that it wouldn't have? Shannon, why don't you go first and tell us, maybe your dad talks about this all the time, that it's during the hard times God pulls us closest to him and we learn the most. And that's probably was happening for you at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember being in a Bible study, and I don't remember what the Bible study was, but I remember through that study, God gave me the verse in Isaiah 40:31, where he talks about those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. They're not going to get weary. And I remember thinking in that moment, I'm so weary. I'm so tired emotionally. You know, I just felt really beat down with all of the things that I was feeling. You know, I remember thinking, God, I just want to be a mom. I want to have a baby to love. You know, I mean, Rick and I were, you know, right? A good thing. We just wanted to be parents. And so I remember thinking, why, God? You know, why can't this happen? And, you know, when you're going through all of the things that infertility brings, it's a lot. The appointments, the medication, it's a lot. It's a lot on your marriage. And that verse, I just remember being in that Bible study and that verse just really piercing my soul, because I realized in that moment I had made becoming pregnant an idol in my life. And God showed me my focus has got to change. And so that verse taught me that I was waiting, if you will, on a baby. And that's a wonderful thing. But I needed to be waiting on the Lord. And I needed to shift my focus so that I could have that renewed strength that he promised in the verse. And I really feel like kind of from that moment on, it was really kind of a pivotal moment where I was like, wow. And I was able to kind of shift my focus and really, not that I wasn't pressing into God, you know, I mean, I was in a Bible study, I was attending church every weekend, but my focus was all I thought about was this whole thing around me that was infertility. I mean, it really had consumed me. And God showed me that I had to switch my focus, and I had to start waiting on him, trusting in him. I think one translation has that verse, those who trust in the Lord. But either way you read it, either way, whatever your translation is, I needed to work on both of those areas. And so that was a really cool God moment for me that really helped me kind of keep moving forward.
You know what? Thank you for that word, because I'm just thinking we all have that in our life, whether it's sometimes as our kids are growing up, even they can become our idol, or if we want to get married so bad,
Yeah,
that can become our idol, or whatever it might be. I think we just see the here and now. We don't always see what's ahead, and you know that God's preparing us for something else. And in all reality, it could have not ever happened, right? I mean, that could have been in the cards too. And I know that you wouldn't have liked it, but I know that you would have still been going, but I'm waiting on your best, God, you know, whatever that is. So thanks for that challenge, because I think we all are kind of thinking about what's my thing right now that I'm putting, it's more important to me than God. It's more important than me spending time with God, or whatever that it might be. So I'm thinking of all those things in my life right now too. How about you, Darcy? What did you learn throughout this struggle for you?
Well, I would say the biggest thing would be that God taught me that I can depend on him and that I can trust in him. While I was going through all of this, I was really in my infancy as far as my spiritual growth. You baptized me, Mary, when I was pregnant.
Yeah, really.
So, you know, I had just, you know, accepted the Lord not too, you know, much before they were born. And in one of my darkest moments of my entire life, when I was going through my postpartum depression, and I had some really scary thoughts about harming my children, actually, when I had that depression, it was really, really scary. And I had gone to my doctor and gotten, you know, some medication, and that didn't work. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I think I just need, and I hadn't really, you know, prayed and been vulnerable. And I was like, I think I just need to pray to God. I mean, nothing else is working. Nothing else is helping. I've been going to church, but I haven't really, you know, ever, you know, trusted him with something like this. But if anyone can pull me out of this darkness I'm feeling, it's him. And I just remember being over at my mother-in-law's house, and Mike had taken us, you know, over there. His parents were kind of helping with the kids, and they knew I was just not in a very good, healthy state at the time. And they said, Darcy, you know, why don't you just go upstairs and lay down, you know, and just get some rest. And in my mother-in-law's guest room was a cross on the wall and a Bible on the nightstand. And I laid there in that bed, tried to rest, and then I just thought about, you know what, if I'm going to get out of this, God's the one who's going to help me through it. And I just remember putting one hand on that Bible on the nightstand and the other one on the cross on the wall, and just, just praying so hard to God, God, please pull me out of this darkness. And I tell you, like, I know he doesn't always answer prayers right away, but I had never really prayed to him before. I think he wanted to show me that I can trust in him, and that he is there for me, because the next day when I woke up, I just felt this weight lifted. I found like joy in being a mother. Found joy in having my children that I wanted to have so much, that I was not enjoying because I was feeling in such a dark place. So he taught me that I can reach out to him, in my darkest moments for anything, and he's going to be there.
What a life lesson, because there will be more dark moments in our lives, right? We wish there weren't, but God just doesn't always promise that it's going to be easy. And y'all, I'm so thankful. I know both of your stories, because I've gotten to spend some time with you guys and hear those. And I'm just super thankful for you sharing this with lots of other people, because I think people look at you and just say, oh my gosh, y'all are so cute. Your family's so cute. Your life is so perfect and easy. And even beyond what you've been through right now, I know both of your lives, it has not been. You've both gone through difficult things even since then, but I know that God was preparing you. He was galvanizing your faith for the things that are ahead, to be able to help other people. And I think Bill talked about this weekend of, the 40 years that they were going around. God was preparing them for the time when they would be able to be free. And we just need to remember that, to draw strength from that, because I know there's lots of people out there right now who are struggling. And I know all three of our hearts are that you would just press into God. He's the only one who can literally fill that hole in your heart. And if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, we highly recommend him as well, because without Jesus, we know that we don't have access to God. So I just always like to say that too, because sometimes I have people come to me saying, I just feel empty and I don't know how to get over this. And I'm like, man, I don't know how you get over this without the Lord. Do you have a relationship with him? Do you know Jesus? And well, maybe when I was a baby, I went to church and I grew up, but I don't think I've ever really asked him to be Lord of my life. And just like you were saying, Darcy, asked him to fill these holes and to come and be with me and to show me the way that I should go. And that's the amazing thing. When we have Jesus in us, when we accept him into our lives in the Holy Spirit, he does things that we didn't think were possible. And he allows us to do things that we didn't think were possible. So to everyone out there, whether you're going through a hard time now or not, Bill always says you are going through a hard time, you're coming out of it, or you're going back in. I know Darcy and Shannon, you guys would say the same thing. And I know in my life, I've lost a lot of family members lately. There's just been a lot of grief and hard times that I'm really good at stuffing. I don't know about you guys, before I will say uncle and say, okay, God, I need you to help me with this. I can't do it on my own anymore. So I just hope if anybody gets anything out of that today, that's what they're thinking. Okay, I've been trying to do this on my own. I've been trying to just, do it by myself, and I need the Lord to come in my life for the first time, or come back into my life and to refocus on that. So thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for your patience today. Nothing's holding us back from sharing what God would have. So I'm just so thankful for you guys. And I was thinking, Darcy, when you were talking, they may not know Darcy's a nurse, because we know when we hear the clinical terms of, I was thinking this must have been super hard for you, because the danger with nurses is you really know a lot. So thank you for what you're doing on the front line. I just want to say that to everyone. I know we have lots of other nurses and doctors and firemen and EMTV, everything out there that is just really doing the hard work for us. So we're super thankful for you guys. So, all right, everybody. Love you, girls. I'll see you soon. Everybody take care. Thanks for tuning in with us.
Bye,
See you guys later. I'll sign us off. Bye-bye.